Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode 13 of Arrowhead Junction, a collaboration project between myself, Strict Toaster, and Fresh Popcorn. And in this episode, we're going to be focusing on this main town over here. You can see that Fresh Popcorn and Strict Toaster have done tons of work on expanding and developing the beginnings of our main town over here, as well as you can see this amazing rail yard, or at least the start of a rail yard that Strict Toaster has worked on very diligently. So, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed his last episode as well. I think it was a really cool project and a really cool thing for him to go and actually get some real life inspiration for this. Really, really awesome, and he lives close enough to do something like that. So, really excited about this project, actually. I think it's going to be really, really cool when it's done. But today's focus is going to be on the main town. What I really want to do is I want to take this town from having lots of zoning, which, you know, there's no problem with all the zoning right now, but what I really want to do is develop the areas like right around the main avenues and possibly expand a bit, but mostly focus on making the internal part of the main strip of the town really, really well developed and unique looking and interesting. I want to have lots of unique looking buildings and things, and kind of develop this like old town sort of feel rather than lots of zoning. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but first of all, we do actually have a pretty large to-do list, things that are currently either broken or causing issues in the town or whatever, just kind of things here and there that it seems Strict Toaster and Fresh Popcorn have left me to fix. So I will be jumping into that first and kind of working through that. But it's actually really awesome we're doing that, because I really want to have some time finally to just kind of like play around in this area, look at some of the stuff they've done, and maybe tweak some things, because it feels like, at least for me, my last few episodes have been sort of independent projects. So I'm excited to jump in here and tweak some of the things they've done and fix some of these issues. Alright, so the first thing that I want to take care of here is this cloverleaf interchange that Fresh made a few episodes ago. So the primary issue right now with this is, as you can see, what should be happening is any traffic that wants to come from this road to this highway going in this direction, they should be going this way, taking a right-hand turn here, taking this little loop on the inside, and then going off into traffic. But what's actually happening is they're all going across the street. They're taking a left-hand sharp turn this way, which shouldn't be happening, and then merging this way, which is definitely not what we want. It'd be much more smooth if they went this way, but obviously what's happening is it is just a shorter path in general to be going this way and going here, rather than doing a little loop around this way. Now, I can't really explain why some cars seem to decide to go this way and others do not. Might have to do with maybe they see the traffic up here and may decide to go this way instead if there's like cars waiting to turn. I don't really know. Honestly, I really have no clue why it seems that some cars pick to go this way, but regardless, it's not actually that big of a deal to fix this one. It should be pretty easy. All we gotta do is we gotta just go in here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete a few of these, and then I think if we connect it here, it might still be too close, and I actually kind of like the staggered approach that Fresh has kind of gone with for merge lanes here and there. So I'm gonna try and put one over here. So let me go ahead and start that here. I guess we'll have to go. So the trick here is it needs to be, well, first of all, it seems like for some reason, well, we should definitely turn on Sharp Angle Junctions mod, of course. But on top of that, we should also make sure we are locked on the ground here. I don't really know why it's glitching out like that. But so the trick here is, as you can see, and let me see if I can get like a better example of this actually. So I think drawing the road first kind of makes this work better. I don't really know what's up with these. Oh, well, first of all, this is the wrong road type. I don't really know what's up with these intersections here. It feels like, I think the Move It tool is making these a little bit weird, like they don't really know what to do about everything. But anyway, so I guess we could just find our own point, since that kind of got rid of our merge point here. But what you need to do to make these sharp angles work is you want to look at that little degrees thing down here, and you want to get it right around 1 and 2 degrees, and that's like the best way to make these sharp angles like this. If you go above that, like here, then it starts to do this and it comes out this way. It needs to be a ridiculously sharp angle, so something like this to actually pull this off. Now, it appears that we're going to have to really go steep. And I don't actually know if we can possibly create an intersection like that. It seems like it's not going to be very friendly. So let's try, maybe if we go further back, we can make this work. We might really have to like really reach back here to make this one actually happen, which I'm not entirely opposed to. The alternative is trying to make this road a slower road, and it seems like that's also not a great solution. So I think that I'd much rather do something like this. Let me just see if something like that is too steep. Looks like that is absolutely too steep. You know what? I'm going to do something real quick. I think that the fact that this is all on the slope is really making this difficult because, well, other roads aren't really adjusting to it. So let me just kind of bring this same height all the way out here just to kind of level the playing field a bit. And well, that's way too steep here, or way too strong here, but I want to make sure that we're not getting any weird road glitches because of height differences. So let me try that. And again, there's something kind of fishy going on with this area over here, so hopefully we can kind of get around that. Now, the nice thing about the Move It tool, which I'm about to use here in a minute, once we get this going, I'm going to go about 7 units, I think, out in this direction, is, so right now you can see we're obviously making kind of a weird intersection. Well, first of all, if there's a height issue, which might actually be the case, you can just easily adjust the height. Now, it looks to me like this is not just a height issue, but in fact an angle issue. Now, I do actually believe, yeah, it looks like, okay, I see the problem here. So what happens is if you try and make a sharp angle that's too long, so this road is much too long, then what happens is it creates 2 nodes instead of having 1 single node. And that's the same thing that happens whenever you try to make like a big bridge and then you go 1 too far, then it goes like, you know, flat and then bridge, and there's like a second node in there. So the same thing happens when you try and make a long curve, is it adds a second node. So the trick to fixing this is you can actually just bring these nodes out and try and kind of tweak everything a little bit. So the next step obviously is trying to make a nice smooth curve that sort of makes sense here. There we go. All right, so let's test this out now. Now obviously we all know that the way the AI works is it's still going to have its path sort of set on moving out here and then turning this way. So I don't think that it'll fix itself right away, but I think that in a minute here we should see an improvement in how much traffic goes down here. Now, I don't know actually if doing this is any faster than doing this right now. I'm a little bit concerned that this is still not faster, you know, to do like a little roundabout turn here. It looks like more people are doing it, but I think we're gonna have the occasional, yeah, coming down here. I don't really understand why that happens. It looks like almost all of them are doing this now, which is fantastic though. In fact, I think we just did it. I think we just fixed it. It looks to me like pretty much everybody is using this roundabout now, with the very occasional person just kind of coming down here and hitting this one. So I'd say all in all, this is pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with this, and we can move on to the next little part of this whole project. So obviously you probably noticed by now that we've got this sort of like weird backup going on over here. And oh wow, we got some land value issues. We got a lot of stuff to work on this episode. So I guess we will we'll tackle all of that stuff. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna make a quick save. So I'm gonna just real quick save this as episode 13.1. I like to make multiple saves. You never know when you're gonna accidentally mess something up and have to go back and redo it. I've done that plenty of times at this point where not worth the hassle. So anyway, what's happening here right now, and this is sort of like a small part of a much larger issue, is we have a few problems with fire. So as you can see here, this building has burned down. I actually left it intentionally so I could show you guys that we do in fact have a burnt down building here. Now what's happening is it seems like this road in particular, and a lot of these buildings that are zoned on a piece of road that has only has access via the highway, so you can only actually get to this building here by coming from the highway. You can't pull a UE over here, and you can't, you know, obviously drive backwards on the street, so that's your best bet. So obviously it's a problem, and this is actually an issue in other areas as well. The main one being over here. this building was burning down quite a bit. So what Strict did to fix this is like kind of a simple, quick fix is you put this little dirt road here, and you can see when no cars are going into this dirt road, it flows freely. But the second we have a car or a truck slow down to try and turn to this dirt road over here, it not only backs up the highway on this side, but also it backs up the highway on this side by crossing the road here. But the main thing is everybody's in the left lane here. So when someone turns left here, it slows the whole load down and it creates massive traffic problems. So you can see, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like everything's flowing fine. And then all of a sudden, boom, one guy stopped and now the whole thing starts backing up. And then if someone else stops, it gets even worse. Someone comes out like that, you can see, and then it really starts backing up. So this is very obviously not a good solution. So we got to figure something else out to fix this, and it's got to also fix our problem over here with the occasional road or occasional vehicle not being able to access this quickly. So first of all, we just don't have enough fire vehicles, I don't think. Let me look and see on our map where exactly all of our okay, so we got a few fire stations here. We got this one right here. We have one more very small one over here. This is giving us basically nothing. So this is our biggest one in all of Arrowhead Village, and obviously we have a few in. We actually have plenty in Zamora. Zamora is doing just fine. So what I've done in the past, and this is sort of like my short-term solution. The thing about fire in this game, and I'm sure anyone who's watching this has probably experienced this by now. For some reason, it seems like fire coverage in general is much harder to handle than pretty much any other service in this game. For whatever reason, things that are relatively close will just not have good coverage. And also the fact that these small stations, these small firehouses are like just really almost essentially useless compared to the larger ones. Like this one has 25 fire engines, this one only has 6. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like 4 of these makes up one of these. So you don't really realize like how necessary these large firehouses are, and more importantly, how hard it is to cover regions like this. So what I'll do sometimes using the Road Anarchy mod is I'll just double place a few, so I just put 2 down there. That'll give us 18 units. I put 1 more down now. That gets us 24 units. So now we've got 24 units, or almost 25 units. It costs pretty much the same. In fact, I think it costs more. Yeah, it does cost more. It costs actually significantly more. Not like ridiculously more, but it does cost more to do that. But I think it looks much better to maintain that like single looking unit. But I also just think it's totally ridiculous how poor these little ones performed. So I do like to do this in areas, and it is a little more expensive, but I do think aesthetically it's much better. So that fixes it there. And I was doing some more just kind of like analyzing of this whole area over here. I don't actually want to run that simulation. I don't want to have this disconnected right here, right now. But, and it really doesn't seem like we have too many accessibility issues around here. This interchange is fantastic because it allows anybody to, at any point, make a U-turn. You can just, drive straight on in here, U-turn that way, same thing here, U-turn this way. So it's really not too hard to make U-turns from really any direction. And that's nice about this. So really the farthest you have to travel if you're going this way is to here to make a U-turn. If you're trying to get into town this way and you want to make a U-turn over here or access this thing, and you can't make a U-turn with this interchange, which is mostly not possible. There's not really any actual U-turn opportunities, mostly because it's a much bigger interchange that's giving access to 4 different locations rather than just 2. It's really not a big deal because, for one, if you're coming from this side, you can easily enter the town and then come back this way and connect here. And obviously from this side, you don't need to make a U-turn because there is the dirt road turnoff on the right-hand side over here. So really what I'm getting at is this was only really an issue with fire because we didn't have enough fire trucks to dispatch from over here. They were all, focused on either the main town or Zamora and Lone. But now that we have a much bigger fleet in the main town, I don't think this will burn down or have any issues anymore. Hopefully not, fingers crossed, but we'll get to that later. What I really am excited about is this gives us opportunity to kind of like redo this area over here. And I was really happy with the way that our connection point was whenever we first built that initial road. And then Fresh did go back and change everything because he, obviously designed the main town. And it kind of got me wanting to go back and redo this connection point. And now there's an opportunity to. We got to make this anyway. So here's our opportunity to play around with this connection point and really show off how amazing Move It is, because the last time I was kind of just like, I was really just only getting into the very, very surface level things you can do with Surface Painter, what am I saying? With the Move It tool. So let's jump into that. So first of all, you can see I'm just gonna like draw these roads super rough. I'm not even gonna worry about really much of anything other than here I'm gonna try and make the bank kind of on point. I'm even just gonna leave some room so this one doesn't have any trouble. I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just gonna like leave plenty of space. And then, with the magic of Move It, now, actually, for whatever reason, it seems like our heights are a little bit jacked up here, so let me just, like, very quickly and very roughly fix the height of everything here. I'm just going to bring all of this up to about there. A few of these can probably come down a little bit later on. Maybe this one can come down just a tad bit. Same with this one, but regardless, they're going to end up in the same spot. So we're going to have this one right about there, this one right about here, and then we can just so easily create this like merging curve that we've been trying to go after here. Really not a whole lot of effort involved at all in getting this to sort of tweak correctly, and we can very easily tweak the angles. We can bring this in. And I'm trying to really, you can see I'm really gunning for that like very, very Avenue-esque looking highway. So this definitely sticks together pretty early on. And then from over here, we're going to have it kind of bend outwards a little bit. So I'm actually going to bring this out a tiny bit this way. Bring you out here like so. And then this one is going to break away a little bit, so it's not going to be following the same sort of pattern. So we'll bring you down here like this. And actually, I think I want to have this kind of lined up with here, so I don't want to go really beyond that angle. I'll straighten this out and then bring it this way like so. This one's going to have a nice curve. Now we want it to match this angle as best as possible. This is where it gets a bit tricky because it seems like this is a very tight angle. We might need this extra node here. It would be kind of cool if there's like an option to add nodes. I don't think you can right now. Now, what I've been thinking while I've been doing this, and I don't know how many of you guys will actually remember this this project that I did on my channel, but I was playing with a roller coaster simulator called No Limits 2, and I made a project in that program called Voyager that was like a dueling RMC Woody coaster. I used to do a lot of stuff with that game and with other roller coaster simulation games on my channel in the past. If you don't know, I know a lot of you guys are maybe new to my channel from City Skylines, but for those of you who aren't new, you might remember No Limits Coaster a bit on my channel, but if you do know that program a little bit, you know that it's pretty much entirely nodes and vector based. And I was just kind of thinking while I was playing around with the Move It tool, and I was realizing how much this reminded me of that because of like the, using the vectors to create natural banks and stuff. And I just kind of thought to myself, how amazing would it be if somebody came up with, or the person who created this Move It tool, I guess, came up with like a little feature, like a button or something that would basically allow for auto smoothing. So all you do is you just, highlight this one, you'd highlight this one, highlight this one, highlight the tracks in between, maybe not even the tracks in between. And then I know that the algorithm in No Limits 2, it kind of works in a way where it's like, it's going to try to get the angle of this one. So if you're like drawing a road, right, you can do the snap tool, and then you can make it so that, I'll give you an example. This is going to be much easier to just draw out than explain. But if there's a road going like this, and then there's another road that's going to be meeting it over here, and you want it to snap, right? Well, what the snap tool does is it allows you to draw that banking point here. That way the connection point is always exactly 180 degrees. And that's like kind of by the game defined as smooth, right? You don't want to have like an incorrect angle meeting with this road. Like say, if I just eyeballed it and it was like way down here, then now all of a sudden we got this weird kink in the road. So what the Move It tool, Smooth It tool would do, the Move It tool, Smooth It tool, is all it would do is it would take every single one of these nodes and it would adjust the middle banking points accordingly so that each node point has a 180-degree angle connection from each road. So I don't know if that's even possible. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I don't know if it's like reasonable or how difficult it would be for, you know, a game like this. But it would certainly make drawing things like this just a little tiny bit easier. I don't really know if it's possible again, but it'd be really cool if that was a thing. So who knows? Maybe someday that would be like on my wish list of things that would be super amazing in this game. Maybe like a smooth tool for Move It. Maybe like an option to add nodes in between nodes. That would really take this from just being like a drawing roads sort of system to like a real like true node and vector based system where you could very easily just draw new nodes and drag roads around and never have to rely solely on, you know, drawing roads again, really. So anyway, just like a little thing I was thinking about, totally off topic, but how cool would that be, right? I think that'd be amazing. But anyway, let's connect these, change the direction there, and then again, pretty simple with connecting these. We don't even have to worry about how it looks initially because we're going to end up totally revamping it with the Move It tool anyway. So obviously it looks really terrible, and then all we got to do is just sort of tweak this just a tad bit, and already it's looking really good actually, which is awesome. Now oh yeah, but traffic lights there because we have the wrong direction here. So if I do that, oh, you know what, it's still there because this is all, yeah, this is not a one-way, that's why. I think, hang on a minute. If I make this a one-way street, oh, okay. You know what, I think I'm actually gonna do this. And then I'm just gonna, because again, we don't need this to be a functional road. It's gonna be pretty much all aesthetic. But if I do this, and then literally make this road like this short, like I'm gonna make it short enough that the concrete is almost not even there. Trying to tweak this. Okay, did not mean to do that. That needs to be straight. We do not want to mess with this grid here. But if we do that, just as a temporary fix, then now we don't have any traffic lights. This is one way. No one's going to get in here, but not a big deal. Again, we're not going to have anything of any actual value on this road. It'll be just like some leftover stuff. I'm maybe just going to leave it like this for now. But so this last thing is really simple, actually. What I did is I accidentally put these chevrons just kind of like facing the camera and not actually facing the traffic whenever they're turning, which would obviously make them totally useless. So I'm going to fix that now. And I actually just tried to fix this by, you know, deleting them. And of course, did not make a backup of this. I was like recording and deleted a road with prop entry anarchy turned off. So now it's on. And totally deleted like all my details around this little little turnaround loop here. So that kind of sucks. Gonna have to fix the whole thing now, it looks like. And really no way around that because I didn't make a save after I did everything else this episode. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tackle all that at once, all in one go. Yeah, let me just fix this off camera. I'll be back in a second. There really aren't many ways to accidentally remove your own work that are quite as humiliating as just straight up deleting roads and with it a whole bunch of different details and things by accidentally not having your prop entry anarchy turned on. So I'm glad to have this finally fixed. I'm actually, you know what, honestly, I think this is even better than our original design. I think that these new little foliage pieces kind of look nice, and I'm also, of course, a big fan of the actual correct chevrons that face the right angle and actually guide traffic at this point, so that's pretty cool. But all in all, it's pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with this this new result over here. But anyway, that pretty much concludes our to-do list. All the things that I've been left from the past few episodes, just kind of like things here and there, like I said, that were slowly becoming problematic in the main town and causing issues. So now we're moving on to the beef of the episode, the main part. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown of what I want to tackle. So first of all, I did tell Strict Toaster that I would connect this highway over here to this national road that also happens to go up here and connects over to our water reclamation plant, and then of course the national roads that go over to Lone over on this side. So I want to make all of this stuff sort of interconnected, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to lay out some roads over here because this is going to be where we're going to have the primary oil refinery and sort of like factory district all around this area that is complementing our rail yard over here. So that definitely needs to have some roads laid out for it, so Fresh Popcorn and Strict Toaster have sort of an idea of what to do over here when they start doing their detailing. And then on from there, the other thing that I want to do is I definitely want to be tackling this area over here. Right now our building theme includes pretty much only the storage units for our industrial zoning, which is fine, but the only thing with that is when you zone industrial, obviously you're going to get some sick people, you're going to get some pretty heavy pollution in these areas, which is not good. So I'm going to dial this back a bit. I'm going to do probably predominantly buildings like these that are the ploppable Rico industrial stuff that don't actually create pollution, and then I might in like the back areas have a little bit of zoning for things like this, but primarily I want to be relying almost entirely on the Rico buildings and not kind of like wildly zoning anything. So I'm going to retackle this area, kind of work it again and try to fix it. And then, of course, also start developing the main town. So let's jump into that now in a time lapse and I guess just see how much we can do. All right, so like I said, I want to start off by clearing off the block sort of immediately around the main street here and plopping down these unique buildings that I think fit a little bit better with the main downtown aesthetic. So we mentioned this a little bit in the recent update or status update video we did, but the primary focus for this town is going to be to have relatively smaller buildings height-wise. We're not going to be going over like maybe 6 or 7 stories in total, and these buildings right here will probably be like the biggest buildings in the whole town. It's going to be much more focused around like a big sprawl horizontally outwards. We have plenty of space, you know, so you wouldn't really want to have giant skyscrapers spending all this money on constructing these huge buildings when you've got plenty of space all around the town to be expanding and adding suburbs and stuff. So no real reason to be making giant skyscrapers. And I think it's a kind of a cool opportunity to try something new, try more of a horizontal sprawl rather than a vertical sprawl. And on top of that, a different sort of style, a different aesthetic style anyway. I really haven't played around with this at all, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to jump into this here. So anyway, I'll be doing probably just this side of the street and maybe like 1 or 2 blocks over on this side of the street anyway, the main street. And then I'll leave the rest for Fresh Popcorn and Strict Toaster so they can play around with all this stuff and make their own mark on the downtown area. But I did want to tackle these few blocks here and there, and I'm gonna move this cemetery real quick. I actually was sitting here waiting for it to empty and then realized I could just move it straight on over, so that was kind of convenient. But I want to remove the cemetery, make some space, because again, I want to make these few blocks immediately out from the main town a bit more urban. So we're gonna have these big tall buildings, we're gonna have some parking lots here and there. And the majority of the detailing is going to happen later on. I'm just kind of planning stuff out right now, figuring out where everything's going to go, and of course plopping down parking lots and everything as we always do. But the detailing will come later on, so don't worry about that. It'll happen. But in the meantime, I wanted to put down some buildings and get an idea of how this is all going to look. This little corner especially is kind of interesting. The corner opposite of where I just placed that little pharmacy thing. It's kind of hard to work with. It's like a big curve on that street, so it's really not very easy to plop buildings down over there. So we'll tackle that a bit later on, but mostly just plopping down this concrete. It's kind of, I think it's really just plopping down concrete is a nice way to get an idea for where things are going to go, where you want walkways to be in between buildings and stuff. Because in these areas especially, I'm trying to get away from that idea of just like buildings in these blocks, you know, just like 3x3 grid block of building or 4x4 grid block of building. I'd rather have buildings that feel more organic and they're just kind of shaped around these areas. And on top of that, you can see lots of clipping going on and stuff. I'm trying to create unique and interesting looking buildings that take up more space than your average 4x4, you know, building. So that's the idea with this, just playing around with different things and different building combinations. But I really like the idea of, and you can see it a little bit in the bottom right corner right now, but I like using these big lofts, which are, I would presume to be, residential buildings or whatever. I think they're supposed to be like factories, but I think of them as lofts. They look a lot like lofts to me. So, use these big lofts like this, and then on that lower level, having some commercial buildings that are like right alongside the street there. I see that a lot in these old towns, especially, refurbing these lofts. Well, when they're built, they're just used for housing, but then as the town begins to grow, the real estate like immediately next to these avenues becomes super valuable, and people want to start their shops there. You want to have, business like straight on the main road. And that's when they go in and they take all these bottom floor and like the first 2 floors of these lofts and these residential housing areas, and they turn them into commercial buildings. So you can see here we got some little shops and things like right on the lower level, and then right above it we've got the main lofts and the living space. So just some things like that, and sort of following that principle with different clipping combinations and stuff. But all in all, it's really fun just to play around with the different buildings you can clip together, especially with, I think, this style of building. It kind of fits well. So you'll see that more later on. We're gonna get back to that in a minute, but right now, what I wanted to do, well, first of all, you can see I'm dragging out a one-way street. Now, what's going to happen, and I'm sure we've mentioned this a few times now, but at least I hope we mentioned it in the update. I actually can't remember if we did or not, but we will be redoing this train station. I know that Fresh said it in the comments a few times, but we are planning on replacing the train station. It was temporary. It was just like a temporary station just to get an idea of where it was going to go, and in doing so, I was just kind of recognizing that we are going to have a traffic problem if we keep doing this right now. We've got a setup where everybody is funneling into one single avenue. You can see it kind of backing up just a little bit there, and it does cause some problems. It's just like everybody's trying to go on the same avenue, and everyone's trying to get on and off roads on that single avenue. And then on top of that, we got that station right there. It makes it a lot worse. So what I needed to do is I needed to have a little bypass so that people that we're trying to get to these neighborhoods over here and some of these commercial buildings or industrial buildings could bypass going on that downtown street. So what I did is make that little one-way street that's going to go and actually service the passenger train station directly, so people don't have to go to that main avenue street to get to that passenger train area. And you can see it's actually much better now. So that's nice to see. Now, of course, we're still at a pretty low population for this town, so it will get worse as time goes on, and that's why I did a little bit more sort of future-proofing for our traffic. You might have noticed a little bit there, but I did go and make some one-way streets between those little loft buildings we had like earlier on, so that should work much better. But anyway, in this little area over here, that's like just right off the main avenue there, I thought, what a good place to do some kind of interesting industrial zoning. I didn't want to have just like the same, factories and stuff sitting around. So I thought, why not make like a storage facility? It just feels like this kind of town would have like areas dedicated to, private storage and stuff. So I just noticed that the same building seems to grow in quite a bit if it's a 3x3 area. In fact, I think it's like one of the only 3x3s that we actually have in this building type. So you're gonna see I'm gonna plop a few down here and there, but the idea was to create these little storage lot buildings and then have like some larger warehouses, and then eventually pave over the road with concrete and kind of block the whole thing off with some fences and try and get a bit realistic with the way this whole thing is laid out. Have like, like I said, fencing and everything, and make it feel like an actual personal storage facility. I've been to a few of them in the past, and they kind of look like this, I think. So that's the idea there. Just gonna go ahead and fence the whole thing in. And I do want to have, I think, one more of these somewhere. I'll probably tell Fresh, and I don't know if Strict will get to working on this area quite after this episode or not. I think he has more plans for the rail yard, so I might leave him to that. But I'll tell both of them. But I do think that using these storage lots is kind of a cool way to incorporate the industry in areas that are like in the more central parts of town where you wouldn't really actually have any factories. You more just have these like big storage facilities and stuff. So now we get into the nice prop placement and I guess decal placement in this case around this area. But I think it really brings the concrete slabs to life. It seems a little bit boring when you have just like straight concrete. So getting those tire marks in, plopping down some of these little light posts here and there. I do think that having these big street lights makes a lot of sense in these areas. You want to have it nice and well lit. You don't want to have the storage facility be all dark at night. That's kind of sketchy. So we'll make it nice and well lit for all of our customers, I suppose. But we got a nice gate here at the front, which I think makes sense as well. And then I think I'm gonna get started on this little back area over here. I wanted like a little security gate, sort of back entrance area. I'm not really sure what exactly the use would be of this back entrance, I guess, besides just entering from the back. But it just seemed like an area that should have a little dirt road kind of thing connecting to it, so that's what I did there. I got some security and stuff, pretty low end security, just like one dude sitting there. I figured that's about all they'd have in areas like this, but I do like these giant props we have, these big like hashed yellow lines. I think they really fit well in front of these storage facilities. Is like a big loading and unloading section marker, I guess. So I tried to use those a few different times here and there. Also, these dumpsters just really look awesome, actually. I think these are relatively new. I mean, I don't really know if they're super new or not. I know I just got them in Rhinestone, and we just got them in Arrowhead, so I'm not really sure how new they are. Oh, you know what? They might have actually come with one of the game's updates, now that I think about it. I can't remember for sure, but regardless, they're pretty nice, and I think they kind of fit well with that area. So that's about it for the storage facility. I'll probably not show any more of it. I know that I did some more work just to kind of clean it up a bit and add some foliage and things, but it was pretty good how it was. Regardless, I wanted to get a bit more work done on this corner, and more importantly, just like detail everything. So you can see that this loft is in like a prime location, so I really wanted to take advantage of that ground floor and have a couple different commercial buildings, and then little alleyway entrance to the loft over here on this side. We got some garages, I guess, for whoever's living there. And of course using some different decals to kind of liven up the area a little bit. And I love the way that little entryway turned out. Just for some reason it like fit perfectly there. There's like a little doorway, and we got the different buildings sort of gapped perfectly so we could have a little entryway on the side there. So I tried to do that when possible. And then just working out these back lots over here. We got some foliage to kind of break up all this concrete and stuff we have going on here. But I'm a big fan of that back area, especially. I think it kind of turned out nicely over there, so I'm happy with that. We also have this Taco Bell. I think that Strict Toaster might have made these. I can't remember anymore. I'm pretty sure it was Strict Toaster that made this whole area over here after Fresh had finished with the town. But anyway, I wanted to detail it a bit. I know that the Taco Bell didn't have any sort of drive-through, so I went and made that. Kind of fenced off the play place over there, and worked out this drive-through, which is kind of an interesting drive-through, actually. Just sort of kind of is a single straight road. Doesn't really need to wind anywhere. But I wanted to make this area next to the gas station work a bit better. I love the way that gas station sort of fits right in there with that wedge-shaped building, but I'll probably get back to that in a bit here when we're working further on it. But I do want to get some bike storage back here as well, and work a bit on these parking facilities, get some more green space in here. It seemed a bit dull with all of that concrete, and of course use a lot of these little fences. I kind of like the way they look. I think they really fit the style well, so I try to use those when possible, and get some green grass and trees placed in as well. Because I know that the areas surrounding the town might have some green space and stuff, and then from there it sort of fades out into desert. But I do think that areas in the actual town area, whenever we do have any extra space, we'll definitely have trees planted, and try and get that green, the shade, and everything from the sun as much as possible. So I try and take advantage of that when possible as well. Adding some dumpsters back here again. I just feel like for some reason these parking lots would have dumpsters in them. I don't know. It seems like that would happen. So we got that going on. Finally working our way over to this side. Now this is something that I think actually turned out really nice. I wasn't really sure how we were going to work out this little corner over here, but I wanted to have something interesting, something kind of unique, and something that would use lots of props so it would fit better. And I ended up going with this car dealership. So I sort of use Move It to arrange it properly, and it's got a pretty big footprint, but I wanted to make it really fit in and essentially just take up this entire wedged corner over here, which otherwise would have just been like wasted space and stuff. So that's what I did here. I tried to plan this out sort of like I would imagine a car dealership to be. I wanted to have a little front section here, like a little showcase of the car. So we got a nice car sitting there in the front with some spotlights, and then I thought, okay, well, we should probably have some like cool rocks and like a little scene set up like you would have in front of a car dealership. So we got like these big rocks and some pine trees and stuff. Just like it's supposed to look a little bit like out of place, almost like they just totally set this thing up, you know, to sell the car, which happens a lot. Like I drive down these, especially, I don't know if this is like a thing in other towns in the U.S. or really anywhere else in the world even, but it seems like here or not here. I'm not in Colorado anymore, but when I lived in Colorado, they're always trying to sell it to you like you're gonna be driving in the Rocky Mountains. So they're gonna have like these like rocky setup. They got like the rocks and the big pine trees and like the Jeep like crawling up on the rocks or whatever. You know, I always think it's kind of funny. It seems really out of place in like just sitting there right next to the dealership. So I tried to mimic that a little bit. I kind of like it though. I think it turned out well. And then we got some chain link fence stuff kind of behind the scenes, hiding everything and fencing off that other building's parking lot and whatnot. And I think from here I had some like weird land value issues. I think that's just like a bug with the I don't even know if it's a bug or not, but something with these unique buildings just like not really digging where they're at right now. So I think I'm gonna have to go in and play some different services and stuff to boost the ratings a little bit here. But anyway, I wanted to get some cars in over here. Another one of these little display areas. We're going to have some kind of like a nicer display area. So I got that like nice looking cobble going on and everything over there. And then this little service area in the back, I would imagine would be a bit more tailored to the people who already have cars who are coming back to get it serviced at this dealership. So I'll make some a bit less of like a nice area and more just like gonna have some cones and places where you can bring your car in or whatever. But over here certainly is a nicer area. We got these little palms, I guess, and nice foliage and stuff. And then that little back lot, I think that's supposed to be where the new cars would come out from the showroom or something. So we got that over there as well. But I did want to take up some more, or take advantage, I should say, of some more of this concrete over here and make sure we place down some parking. And I think I wanted to make this warehouse seem like it has some more purpose to it. So I put down some of those different trailers and things over there. And then of course in the back over here, just some more lighting. It was getting a little dark over there, I think, just like with like a big empty concrete area over there. But I think this whole area is just going to be like a big back lot for all those cars coming out, and of course the trailers and the trucks pulling in for that warehouse over there. And then the back of the dealership, obviously, all the cars coming in and out. But we are pretty much at that time of the episode now, the end of the episode. So I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe to Fresh Popcorn and Strict Toaster on YouTube to get all the latest updates and episodes as they go live. Also, be sure to check Fresh Popcorn's channel on Friday. That'll be the next episode, of course. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.